all the games of Week 14 of the NFL season. That wasn't Week 15. That was Week 14. Now, Week 15. Broncos went into Indianapolis. They win 25-13. It's 14-13 Colts, and it's 13-7 Colts, and they of course go on. And the Broncos go on to score 18 unanswered points, including the game-changing 52-yard pass from Brock Osweiler to Heuerman, and they end up winning 25-13. Unfortunately, the Colts' backup tight end was hurt on a helmet-to-helmet collision in the first half, had to be taken to a local hospital. Right now, he is being observed. Hopefully, things will turn around for him, that he'll be fine. Prayers and thoughts go out to him and his family and to the entire Colts organization for a speedy recovery. And in this particular game was Brock Osweiler came in. They've had to go through quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, the Broncos. Trevor Siemian, in fact, had an interception in the beginning of the game. So Trevor Siemian. It's amazing. He didn't have that type of performance against the Jets, but yet against the Colts team, I think that is much worse than the Jets. Still, he throws a pick. It's kind of amazing to see how things change week after week in the NFL. Now to the games coming up. In the neighborhood, New York Giants will be visited at MetLife Stadium by the Philadelphia Eagles. Sans Carson Wentz in the first game of the season, and I can't believe I just flipped the table right now. But anyway, this is a game where the Giants honestly are not going to win. Even without Carson Wentz, the Philadelphia Eagles are 10 times better than the New York Giants. Look for the stands, how empty it's going to be in this game. That will tell you how terrible this Giants organization, this team is. I do not see them winning this game. I fail to see them running very well because they have one of the worst rushing offenses in the league. They can't protect Eli to give him enough time to make a passing play. And even if he does have enough time, he doesn't have a good core of receivers. So all those issues compounded, and against an Eagles defense led by Fletcher Cox that is looking to chomp at Eli's behind and get him down, which he will for 3 sacks. The Eagles are going to win this decisively. I give them, I think, a 2-touchdown game. By the end of the day, Giant fans actually won't even last the first half. They're going to try and beat the traffic on the turnpike, and the Eagles are going to win decisively. The Jets go into the Big Easy to take on the New Orleans Saints. Both teams recovering from terrible losses, especially the way the Saints lost. At the end of the game, Keanu Neal intercepting Drew Brees in the end zone on a pass intended for Josh Hill, and they lost 2017 to the Falcons, which gave the Falcons an opportunity or a chance to win that division. Now the Saints have to recover and recover fast, and I think they will. Kamara's back to team up with Mark Ingram in that 1-2 monster of running back tandem. Drew Brees will make the occasional play-action pass plays that the secondary for the Jets won't be able to cover at all, like they did last week against the Broncos. And the Jets are going to be with Bryce Petty in his 6th career start. Jeez, I can't even. This is just, and it's no secret. I'm a New York Jets fan, but believe me, I'm going to be objective here. The Jets have, in the words of Vince McMahon's theme song, no chance in hell. They're not winning this game. I give this to the Saints. Look for them to be able to convert multiple third downs and keep the Jets' offense on the sideline. Now, the Patriots go into a pivotal Sunday late afternoon battle against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is going to be the game of the week, determining who will be the number 1 and 2 seeded teams in the AFC. If the Steelers win, they will outright win the AFC. If the Patriots win, they'll both be at 11-3, but because the Patriots won, they will have the tiebreaker over the Steelers going into the final 2 weeks of the season. And with that, the Patriots could win their 9th consecutive AFC East championship. Tom Brady and company are going to have to overcome the fact that they couldn't convert a third down. And here's the thing, Tom, you're going up against a defense that gave up 38 points to the Ravens. So it's not like it's a stout secondary whatsoever. And without Ryan Shazier, you're going to be able to run the ball very well with the likes of James White and Rex Burkhead this time around, instead of being held to 25 yards on the ground. I give this game to the Patriots. I think they're going to come out with a vengeance. I think the defense is going to come up with a game plan to stifle Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, because when you stifle those two, you really hurt the Steelers' offense, because they get Le'Veon Bell to run the game, to run the ball, or catch out of the backfield, which opens up several big passing plays to Antonio Brown. If the Patriots are able to stifle Brown and Bell, you stifle the Steelers, which I think will happen. And I know I've used the word stifle several times, but it really does. It is germane to this game. I'm going with the Patriots. I see them winning decisively, field goal, Gostkowski at the very end. Though, some people will say it's going to be an up-and-down game, but I give it to the Patriots. Another big matchup coming up. Rams visiting the Seahawks, NFC West rivalry. I like this game for several reasons. It's in the Emerald City, the 12th man, the toughest environment for any person to play in. Whether you're the home team or the away team, the noise, the decibel level reaches 134, which is, I think, 3 on the Richter scale, if I'm not mistaken. That's pretty noisy right there. No matter what preparation you could have in mind, you can't prepare for an environment the likes of which no person other than Seahawk fans have seen at the Emerald City CenturyLink Field Stadium. The Rams are going to really have to have a game plan performance against the bomb missile arm of Russell Wilson and his receivers, Tyler Lockett and, of course, Bradshaw. Well, nonetheless, they're going to have to really do a great job against those two receivers. And I think the Rams defense will recover in some way. But that won't be enough. Why? Because I think J.D. McKissic is going to be the secret weapon, running the ball on the ground. Not just catching out of the backfield, but I think he's going to be heavily used to really go up the gut against the Rams defense. I got the Seahawks winning this one. Next game right here, Saturday, late night, Chargers, Chiefs, AFC West at stake for both 7-6 teams. The Chiefs returned to Kareem Hunt last week, having 100 yards on the ground. Congratulations, Kareem. You're back. We missed you, man. The Chiefs' offense missed you. That's why they've lost 6 out of the last 7, because your inability to run. Travis Kelce also having some big plays in the last few weeks for the Chiefs' offense. And Alex Smith returning to what he does best. Now, the defense, on the other hand, is going to really have to have a hell of a game plan going into this against Phillip Rivers, who in the last 3 weeks has thrown the ball for over 300-plus yards. Big weapon, of course, Keenan Allen. If the secondary can stop him and Melvin Gordon on the ground, and if the Chiefs' offense line can somehow be able to stop the likes of Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram in that destructive Los Angeles pass rush. I keep saying San Diego. I know it's a Freudian slip. I'm not the only one. They will always be the San Diego Chargers to me, but they are officially the LA Chargers. Nonetheless, the Chiefs' offensive line can stop Bosa and Ingram on that Chargers pass rush. Chiefs can win this game. And you know what? I don't see that happening. I got the Chargers winning this. It'll be 8 of their last 10 victories. They're going to take over the AFC West. It's going to be the greatest story for an 0-4 team. In fact, they'll be the first 0-4 team to make the playoffs since they did it back in the early 90s. So how sweet is that right there? I'm sorry, Chiefs. It's not happening. I got the Chargers winning this one decisively by 10 points. Packers, the return of Aaron Rodgers, 7-game absence with a broken collarbone, going into Carolina, take on the Panthers. The Packers need to win throughout the season and hope and have some help along the way and hope that 10-6 will get them into the NFC part of the playoffs. As for the Panthers, they need to do this. They need to win throughout the rest of their regular season and need some help as well to get into the playoffs. So both these teams are in a bit of a pickle right now. Actually, the Panthers are actually going to make it probably with the wild card. Sorry, misspoke on that one. But the Panthers have the better offense. Much better off, especially Jonathan Stewart having that career-high 3 rushing touchdown performance last week. I think Cam Newton's going to be able to run the ball on the Packers defense that is still somewhat banged up. And even with Aaron Rodgers, they're going to have to be very careful, that Packers offensive line, protecting him, because the last thing they can afford is the Panthers pass rush led by Julius Peppers knocking Rodgers down and re-injuring that collarbone, which I don't think they're going to be able to. They'll barely be able to protect him. I think Rodgers won't be as 100% efficient as we all hope he will be. I got the Panthers winning this one. Dolphins, Bills, snowy Buffalo. Look out. Both these teams right now, this one team winning will continue their march towards the playoffs. The losing team, well, their season is pretty much over. And I got the Buffalo Bills, winning this game. I do, for several reasons. I think LaShawn McCoy, again, is going to run the ball like he did last week. It's snowy conditions, which is going to be hard for a warm weather team like the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, I know they played in 50-degree weather, but that still is nothing for Miami fans, especially players. These guys, it's going to be very tough, the wind chill factor on them. And for the Buffalo players who are used to this type of weather, they're going to be able to use this to their advantage and run the ball up the gut on Miami's offense. And I expect Jay Cutler to turn the ball over several times. I got the Bills winning this one. Sunday Night Football, and I'm barely able to get these flags up. Sunday night, Cowboys, Raiders, from the County Stadium. I like this game for several reasons. Both these teams are fighting for their playoff lives in the AFC and NFC, respectively. I also like the fact that Derek Carr, on Sunday night, could come out and have a big game with Marshawn Lynch. That's if Amari Cooper, if he's 100%. And Michael Crabtree can can really play well for this team this week. I don't see it. I see the Cowboys, even without Ezekiel Elliott, having one more big blowout performance and really taking it to the Raiders. Sean Lee had 18 total tackles last week against the Giants. I think he's going to match that. In fact, I raised it to 20 this week for him. And the rest of that secondary is going to be able to get several picks off of Derek Carr. Look for the Cowboys to win in decisive fashion. 4 touchdowns for Dak Prescott. Got the Cowboys winning decisively. This game, for the Redskins, it's just about pride at home against a Cardinals team that needs to win out and some help along the way. Well, even with a banged-up offensive line, injured running backs that the Redskins have had to go through, Kirk Cousins not having a great performance in L.A. against the Chargers last week, I still think he'll rebound this week. Samaje Perine is going to run for over 100 yards on the ground again this week. And I believe the Cardinals are going to self-destruct, even with Larry Fitzgerald, who is having another unbelievable season, moving up the charts in terms of receptions and receiving yards. Still, it's not going to be enough for this Cardinals team to overcome a very upset Redskins team that has literally nothing to lose and everything to gain in this game. Got the Redskins winning this one. Now, the Vikings, a reunion of sorts. 6 years, Mike Zimmer, the head coach now for this team, the Vikings, was the defensive coordinator for this team, the Cincinnati Bengals, under the tutelage of current head coach Marvin Lewis. Now, for the first time ever, they will be reunited on the same field at U.S. Bank Stadium, the site of Super Bowl 52. Will the teacher be bested by the student, or will it be the reverse? I think the student will definitely come out. Look at the student's team, Mike Zimmer's team, that is. The Vikings have the better defense, top 10 defense led by Xavier Rhodes, great shutdown corner, Andrew Sendejo, another great member of that secondary, along with Harrison Smith. Then you have a destructive pass rusher like Everson Griffin, who's, I think, in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, along with Anthony Barr. The rest of this defense is lights out. Then you look at the offense. With Case Keenum's resurgent season, even when they were down 24-13, the resilience this guy had in that 52-yard crossing route touchdown, unbelievable in and of itself. And he's got great receivers in Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs and Kyle Rudolph to throw to. And the great running tandem of Jerick McKinnon and Latavius Murray. That'll be way too much for a Bengals team who got destroyed by Chicago to overcome. I give this game to the Vikings. 2 touchdowns right there. In fact, for Case Keenum, I'm thinking he's going to get 5 on the day. Now, the Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions, the early Sunday late afternoon game in Ford Field. The Bears right now are just playing to be an upset team or a team to upset other teams. While the Lions need to win out and hope for some help to get to their second consecutive playoffs. Yeah, Jim Caldwell's job is on the line in this game. And I think they're going to deliver big time yet again. Even with the throwing hand issues or injury that Stafford had weeks ago in their 44-20 loss to the Ravens, even a less than 100% Matthew Stafford is 10 times better than 100% Mitchell Trubisky for the Bears and that Bears defense. And let's not forget, the Bears were playing the Bengals. They weren't playing a very tough team. So with all that in mind, I think the Lions win this decisively, and they're going to be able to run up the field. And they're a better third down team. And even if the Lions are down by several points, look for them in the final 2 minutes. That's where Stafford is an artist, especially in fourth quarter overtime drives. Last year he had 8 of them. That's why he got the big contract extension. He has 4 of them already on the year. Houston, Jacksonville, AFC South rivalry. The Jaguars are in the best possible position they've been since 2007 at 9-4 right now, leading the AFC South against the Texans team, who the last few years have won back-to-back AFC South championships. What has gone wrong this year? Well, as I mentioned earlier, the injury to Deshaun Watson, the ACL tear, non-contact injury, the Week 5 injuries of both J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless against the Chiefs, both terrible. Deonta Foreman in the one game against the Cardinals, with those 2 fourth-quarter touchdown runs, injured his leg. So all these injuries really coming at a worse time. And Tom Savage, who is turning the ball over to no end. The only good thing about this Texans team is DeAndre Hopkins, who's having over 1,000 yards and leads the NFL with 14 receiving touchdowns. Other than that, actually 11 receiving touchdowns. Other than that, I don't really like the rest of this Texans team where they're going. I don't see them winning on the road. I think Jacksonville is 10 times better. But Blake Bortles, the thing about him that scares me is his inconsistencies. He could have a great game passing, or he can have a terrible game and have a turnover. Thank goodness for that Jaguars defense, because if that Jags defense didn't exist or hadn't been playing the way that they're having, leading the league in points per game given up, third down conversions, and overall sacks, who knows where this Jaguars team. And by the way, the reason why Jacksonville is so great, remember week 1 when they played Houston? They had 10 sacks as a team. Franchise record. And they did it again later this season. Look for them to have an even better performance. I give this a 13-sack day for that Jaguars defense. I think we're going to see history in the making with Calais Campbell, who also is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, but for the AFC side of things. Now the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Monday Night Football. John Gruden is going to be inducted into the Buccaneers Ring of Honor. Congratulations, John Gruden. The guy who is best remembered for beating his old team, the Oakland Raiders, in Super Bowl 37, 48-21, behind one of the greatest defenses I've ever seen, led by Warren Sapp and current 49ers general manager John Lynch. Now, will be immortalized in Buccaneers lore in their Ring of Honor. Congratulations. Much deserved. And he has a great career now as an analyst for ESPN Monday Night Football. Why would he give it up? I know people want him to be a coach again, but he's having too good of a time doing that and Corona commercials and giving people suggestions on what to do for football games with Corona. Always good beer, especially with the lime. I know. Shouldn't be talking about beer on the air. But John Gruden does those commercials. Can't lie. Sorry about that, folks. Now, Falcons, Buccaneers. In this particular contest right here, the Falcons need a victory, and they will get a victory. They're a better team on the ground, especially with a healthy Devonta Freeman teaming up with Tevin Coleman. Those two are a great tandem. Then you look at Julio Jones, who weeks ago had 253 yards receiving, 12 catches, and 2 touchdowns, including a 54-yard against this Buccaneers team. I don't think he'll have those type of numbers, but still, even when he's double coverage, he's still 10 times better than what the secondary for Tampa has. I give the Falcons another decisive victory on this one. Now, the Titans, 49ers. Titans are still fighting for the AFC South. 49ers are just looking for some level of pride, and they have their quarterback of the future in Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, are they willing to pay for that future? That remains to be seen by John Lynch in the offseason. But as to the here and now, things are looking up. And I think if the 49ers were astute, they re-sign Garoppolo and give him what he wants, considering what he's done these last few weeks, including those big touchdown plays and game-winning drives he's given to the 49ers team. Against the Titans team that's had winning by the skin of their teeth become a style, even though last week wasn't very stylish when they lost to the Cardinals. They need to keep pounding the ball with Derrick Henry. They want to win this game. But I don't think they will do that. I think they're going to keep sharing between him and DeMarco Murray. And that's why I got the 49ers winning yet another game in Santa Clara for that very reason. Derrick Henry, to me, is the clear-cut number one future. DeMarco Murray, he's good. He's good, but you need to give it to Henry, that hard-hitting north-south running back. Now, and by the way, Mariota, if you want to win, don't turn the ball over, but I think you will this week against San Francisco. Final game of the week, the Ravens visiting the Browns. I'm sick of the adjectives I keep giving the Browns because they are a terrible excuse of a franchise. 0-13 says it all for itself. As for the Ravens right now, I have to give them a lot of credit. The way they performed these last few weeks, they beat the Lions 44-20. They nearly have a victory in Pittsburgh, but unfortunately took their pedal off the gas and didn't win the way they should have against Pittsburgh. But don't worry, Baltimore, you're going up against the Cleveland Browns, the pincushion, the punching bag, the absolute worst disgusting excuse of a franchise this year. They had to go to Christmas Eve last year to get their first victory. I don't think Santa will deliver any presents to Cleveland. In fact, it's going to be nothing but lumps of coal under their collective tree. That's why I got the Ravens winning, not just because of the Christmas analogies I just pointed out, but also because the Browns, even when they have a lead, they find a way to blow the lead. Several games. You look at the London game against the Vikings, this past week against the Packers. The Jets, they even had their first lead of the season. They couldn't maintain that. I'm just saying the Browns are a terrible franchise. And thankfully for the Browns fans, this is the last home game they have to endure until 2018. Who knows if many of them want to even renew their season tickets, and I wouldn't blame them. When you have a crappy franchise that has been 1-30 these past 2 years, something has to give. Something has to give. There has to be a whole makeup change, but that's been the problem. The Browns keep, doing a demolition derby on this team, especially with their offensive playbook, coaches. Doesn't matter. Even quarterbacks. Since they came back to the league, they've had now 28 quarterbacks in their graveyard, and still nothing has given hope to this franchise, to this fan base. As for the Ravens themselves, this is one of the easiest games on their schedule. If they can win this game and win their final 2 weeks, they really can take that sixth, and I think they could take that sixth final spot from the Buffalo Bills. They have to play the Colts and the Bengals after this. Winnable games. I think this will be the beginning of that road. The Ravens will win. They will get into the postseason by week 17. As for them going very far, I don't see them. The problem with the Ravens is an inconsistent receiving core. Yes, you have Mike Wallace, occasionally that you can make a good passing play to. And yes, you have Javoris Allen and you have Dixon who can run on the ground. But other than that, I really don't like the rest of this Ravens offense. The defense is the reason why they've won games. They're one of the best takeaway teams in the league, but as far as them getting further in the playoffs, they won't. As far as them this week, of course, they will definitely beat the Cleveland Browns. And those are my picks for Week 15 of the NFL season. Now, coming up in the college football, in the days of college football, we're into now the bowl season. I can't believe it. It's bowl time, folks. Tomorrow is the R&L Carriers Bowl, Troy Trojans and North Texas Mean Green. The Auto Nation Bowl between Western Kentucky and Georgia State. The Las Vegas Bowl between Boise State and Oregon. The Gildan, New Mexico Bowl between Marshall and Colorado State. The Raycom Media Bowl between the Arkansas State Red Wolves and the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. My favorite of those 5 games, I really like the Oregon State Boise State game. I think that's the best game going into tomorrow, especially Boise State was this close to winning the Mountain West Championship. As for Tuesday, December 19th, you got Florida Atlantic against Akron. Wednesday this coming week, the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs and the SMU Mustangs. This coming Thursday, Temple and FIU. And on Friday, you have the Bahamas Bowl between the UAB Blazers and the Ohio Bobcats, and the famous Idaho Potato Bowl between the Central Michigan Chippewas and the Wyoming Cowboys. Josh Allen looking to show NFL scouts that he could be that promising quarterback for the 2018 draft. This is the time for him to do that, especially in Idaho. No, and at Boise State's Blue Field. It's one of the weirdest, strangest things I've ever seen in my life, but it's also interesting. And that's really it. As for this coming week, if the Jets really want to win against New Orleans, and this is not the easiest roadmap, you got to be able, that defense has got to be able to get in Drew Brees' face and cause him to make a bad throw. You got to be able to load as many people in the box and prevent Kamara and Ingram from having a huge day running on the ground. I don't foresee that happening. As for the Giants this week, come on, against the Eagles, like I mentioned earlier, even without Carson Wentz starting for the Eagles, they're still 10 times, 1,000,000 times better than what the Giants have on the field right now, even Eli Manning. I don't think Eli will be playing quarterback next year for the Giants. Look for him to go somewhere down south, and I mean Jacksonville. He's going to be their new quarterback. Granted, Blake Bortles is having a not too bad season, but honestly, I think Tom Coughlin is going to want his star quarterback being the one under center next year in Jacksonville if things don't go well at Jacksonville. If they do go well with Blake Bortles, then it's a different story. It could be any other. Could be maybe the Denver Broncos following his brother Peyton Manning's footsteps. Well, anyway, folks, thank you as always for inviting me into your living room every single week. I always enjoy doing this. So for all the hardworking men and women of CTV, for Mr. Kenneth Graham behind the booth, I'm Eric Rosen, and I'll see you here next week for another episode of the Blitz Zone here on CTV. Good night, folks, and have a safe, pleasant evening.